Blakeney and Tim Quarterman out top, stopping and containing the bounce.
Gardner-Webb is 4-6. They've already played a couple of games in the Big South Conference where they were 20-15 last year. These two teams played right here last year, as you know, Sean. And Gardner-Webb led at halftime and was within 5 with 7 minutes to go. So the way LSU is playing, they're scoring plenty of points, 85 points at their own end. But the problem is they're giving up 82, including 105 in overtime in their most recent loss at Houston on Sunday. Keith Hornsby will give them a big punch, but also at the offensive end, and that's not their problem. Eight to shoot. Simmons working around to screen. The floater looks down inside to Robinson. Got away with a travel, and he puts it up and in. Elbert Robinson, the third, 7'1", 290 pounds. And look at the Gardner-Webb lineup. Their star is Tyrell Nelson, the 8th leading scorer all time for the Runnin' Bulldogs. He is wearing number 20 in black. Posting fullback jump shot. That off the iron, battle for the offensive rebound, and Quarterman will have it along with Simmons for the white-clad LSU Tigers. Mentioned that Keith Hornsby back in the lineup. He'll be wearing number 4 in white, a career-high 32 points. And, Sean, that was his first game of the season after having undergone sports hernia surgery back on November 3rd. He played 37 minutes.
Yeah, they expected him only to play a handful of minutes, maybe 12, 15 at the most. But because of how well he was playing against Houston, because they needed every single point, in fact, they needed more from him, they had to keep him out on the floor. And I asked him how he was feeling coming off of that. He said, look, I'm a little sore, a little tired. But worked through it yesterday at practice and is fired up to go. And that's one of the positions I think is so key, is how hard he plays is infectious to the rest of his team.
Steal out here by Hornsby, going at the other end, lays it up off the side of the iron, but it will be 2 free throws off the steal.
Look, this is a young LSU team. Obviously, we talk about Ben Simmons and Antonio Blakeney, but sometimes you need to count on your senior. And Hornsby is the senior on the roster, and the one guy, because of how hard he's worked since he's arrived on campus, transferring from UNC Asheville, that he can be a guy just based on effort that can start getting the defense to click a little bit more for LSU.
And also, just demand it. As you pointed out at shoot-around today, you know, you should just come with defense, and that was about effort, and that was about discipline, and certainly in terms of personnel, LSU more than capable. Here is Harold McBride, 6-foot senior out of the Bronx, New York, with it out at the point. Nelson trying to back down inside, posting a good three-point shooter, but misses that one off the top of the backboard, and Quarterman with a rebound.
Surprised they're settling for perimeter jump shots for Gardner-Webb, given how problematic it was to stop and contain the bounce the other night against Houston for LSU.
And Simmons given all kinds of room. He is a good outside shooter with a nice stroke. Shot clock at 10. Quarterman down inside to Robinson once again, fights through the contact, and an easy putback by Simmons for his first basket.
Ben Simmons very comfortable around the basket. That's where he is at his best, is when he's active and attacking inside the paint. An easy second chance opportunity for him.
Pull-up jump shot out of the corner, and that's buried by the aforementioned Harold McBride, a 48% three-point shooter so far on the season.
A 31 against Western. He can fill it up. And the guards on this Gardner-Webb team, they believe that they can come in here and find a way to score the basketball. That's the problem when you're 4-4. All of a sudden, your mystique is down a little bit.
Antonio Blakeney, a much-needed make out of the corner for the outstanding freshman for Orlando, Florida.
Well, his numbers over the last 5 games, 13% from beyond the arc. And he's one of the premier shooters coming out of high school. And for him to get an easy make, and what I like most about it is look at the ball, just getting reversed inside out. The defense is having to rotate over, and as you scramble, it creates the long run out to the corner. And Blakeney did a nice job getting his feet set, and good release.
And Simmons should get the hockey assist for the nice skip pass across the zone, which we've seen each and every possession here early. Hornsby down the lane. Lots of contact, but no foul called. And coming out of the backcourt is Gardner-Webb, again 4-6 on the season, coming off a 20-point win at Furman. Posting again, three-pointer on the way, no. And again, settling for jump shots right now is Gardner-Webb.
Well, settling for jump shots, and credit to LSU, at least early in this game, making an effort to box out and limit no offensive rebounds so far.
Good pass down in deep over the front of the iron once again. The 7-footer Robinson, the third, with his second basket.
He's played more minutes than he did all of last season. He scored more points already this season than he did all of last season. And a big part of that, obviously, is without Martin and Mickey, who are both gone now to the NBA. Minutes are there to be had, and they need some toughness. If you want to gain more minutes, you got to rebound. And a poor box out that time by Robinson. He got pushed off his line.
McBride fires once again, and now Gardner-Webb started 1 for 5, and that breaks a little bit of a cold streak. Did you notice Antonio Blakeney at the other end, Sean? He was wide open from a 17-footer, and he almost dribbled himself out of the good look. Blakeney again, not going to hesitate this time, off the side of the iron. Rebound taken by Isaiah Ivey. Just underway here in Baton Rouge. LSU at 4-4, Gardner-Webb at 4-6, LSU leading it 11-6. A floater on the way off the side of the iron, and Simmons, the #1 rebounder in all of college basketball, can't come up with that one, but it will be the Tiger by 3. And this is a team with talent, length, and bounce. And they've lost to Houston, lost to Marquette by 1, North Carolina State in overtime, and at Charleston. All of their losses, 4 of them, if you will, none of them have come to teams ranked in the top 25. Craig Victor on for the very first time, and that's a big story. More on him, Sean. He was the transfer out of the University of Arizona from nearby New Orleans, and he just became available. Down on the low block with it now. Boy, that is a good, strong move, but they're not going to count the basket. They called the foul before he was in the shooting motion. What does he bring to LSU?
Well, he brings size and he brings strength, and you see it right here, the patience and good composure for him. I spoke with him right before the game, and I asked him, you haven't played in over a year. You finally get to play against somebody else. You've been practicing and practicing and practicing. I said, how you feel? He goes, I'm just trying to stay calm. He goes, I don't want to pick up a quick foul or 2 and then be back on the bench.
I like the move down there. That was very calm, very composed. He waited to get some space and then took it up through contact.
Louisiana native, and of course, when you went to Arizona last year, you've got guys like Brandon Ashley, Caleb Tarzewski, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, and you just got buried on the bench. And he's found a home here at LSU, and if they're looking for a rebounder and some muscle, that's got to be the thought process for him, taking the floors. I want to be the best rebounder I can potentially be.
Nelson with a miss, and high for the rebound is Blakeney once again, 6'4", 190-pound freshman out of Orlando, Florida. Pull-up jump shot. Sean, you talked about how much he had been struggling. 3 for 23 over the last 3 games, and now he's got a couple of shots knocked down from long distance with half a dozen. Got a nice-looking stroke. There's no reason he should be shooting that horrible percentage.
Well, he's showing a good desire, too, to want to defend the ball to him. And that hasn't been the case for Antonio Blakeney all season long.
Gardner-Webb, again, out of the Big South Conference, 20-15 last year, 10-8 in conference. Tim Kraft is their head coach now in his 3rd year, and very familiar with the SEC, having spent 3 years at Auburn, and prior to that, a graduate of the Florida Gators.
I think Coach Kraft has done a really nice job organizing this team. You know, they've lost some key components from a year ago, but this was a squad a year ago. By the way, beat Purdue, beat Clemson.
Yeah,
I mean, they had some nice wins on their resume last season, and new roles in different positions for some of these guys, and you're starting to see them trying to acclimate their way in as conference play has actually already begun for them. They're 1-1 in conference.
Quarterman on the lob, and immediately the finish by Craig Victor right at the rim. Beautiful high-low action and penetration by Quarterman.
No one's ever worried about LSU's offense. As you mentioned, one of the elite scoring offenses in all of the country, averaging close to 85 points per game. But this is the end of the floor. If they want to start quieting down some of the talk about are they going to make the tournament or not, how much of a disappointment have they been, it starts with their willingness to compete at the defensive end and to rebound the basketball.
Harold McBride attacking the rim, and of note, Ben Simmons, who fouled out with 2 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in regulation at Houston on Sunday, has picked up his first personal. Craig Victor also just picked up his first.
I think it's funny that in mid-December we're talking about a team maybe not making the NCAA tournament. It's 4-4 and has yet to play with its full roster. And Jalen Patterson not available tonight, so still haven't played with their full complement of their roster. So Craig Victor is going to be very important. Keith Hornsby, you see what he can do offensively.
Hornsby, that shot not close, and we're getting a look at what Victor can do down inside. having an immediate impact and showing no nerve. Maybe your conversation with him kind of calmed him down.
I have a calming influence on everybody I talk to.
Everybody, yeah. I almost fell asleep on the drive.
It was unbelievable. So smooth, just quietly going about business, just like Craig Victor is right now. Nice job positioning himself and going after the ball. It's a very simple thing. We talk about it so often. You hear it in the NBA game. Playing hard, competing. Like, that's a skill. It's become a skill because so often we question.
It used to be a requirement.
But now we question whether does he play hard every second he's out on the floor. And so I think for LSU, at the defensive end in particular, that's got to be something that is demanded. And I think that Craig Victor is a guy that can stabilize that interior presence and add a little bit of that energy underneath. They lost two of the best shot blockers in the country, Jordan Mickey in particular, from the season ago.
They were both game changers. Attack of the basket and going down very nice by DJ Laster, 6'6" freshman out of Pensacola. His first basket, and that sort of cooled off an 11-3 run by LSU. The Tigers still lead at 17-8. 12:50 remaining in the opening half. LSU at 4-4 and Gardner-Webb at 4-6. These two teams again played a very good one. Nice steal there on the pick that time by McBride, going the other way and laying it up and in. David Efiani. So back-to-back baskets, and this off the turnover by LSU.
The keys for Gardner-Webb are very simple. They've got to get back. They want to clog the paint. They want to take away the transition offense for LSU, and then they've got to value the basketball. And so far, only one turnover on the game for Gardner-Webb, so they've done a pretty good job.
Well, Simmons was there. Victor missed him, but he found him the second time around. And Ben Simmons, who has wonderful hands, you don't see him turn it over or not catch the ball in traffic, missed that one. Simmons averaging 19 points, 15 rebounds when you round up a little bit. And I'm a glasses half full guy, so I always round up. Number one in terms of rebounding in the country. And the steal there by Victor, who's had an immediate impact on this basketball game. He calls a quick timeout. So Craig Victor
feels the game extremely well as he takes his first break.
Aaron Epps, 6'9" sophomore out of Ball, Louisiana, who, like Elbert Robinson, did not have much of a role last year, but he's on the floor now for Simmons. And how has this 2-3 kind of matchup zone been bothering LSU a little bit?
Well, I think they've been passing the ball around the perimeter and not attacking and looking to drive it. You can set screens still on the outside, turn and face, and look to make the defense shift and rotate, have to step to the ball.
Hornsby immediately passed to Epps. Also on the floor is number 0, Brandon Sampson. And wearing number 5, Josh Gray for LSU.
Well, Epps, the last two games, he scored 26 points. He only had 18 all of last season.
Offensive rebound and a second possession off the miss in the lane that time by McBride. LSU leading at 19-10. Tyrell Nelson, number 20 in black, as we talked about, the 8th leading scorer all time. Been very quiet so far for Gardner-Webb. Averaging 14.7 rebounds so far on the year. Here's Gray.
I think you can shoot the three-point shot, but I'd like to see the ball at least get its hands and touches in the paint prior to the three-point look.
Victor stepping back and burying that for the three-pointer.
Victor looked over at me and probably thought, no, I'm just going to go ahead, and if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. Boy, has he been impressive early in his debut for the LSU Tigers.
With half a dozen. Stephaniani down inside, outside on the perimeter now to Quincy Rideau. And high for the rebound is Brandon Sampson, 6'5" freshman out of right here in Baton Rouge. Nice crossover dribble into the lane, and that ball is stuffed. A little bit of inadvertent contact after the play. Nothing unsportsmanlike about that at all. And on the possession arrow, the basketball will go to Gardner-Webb. Really good defense by LaQuincy Rideau, 6'1" freshman out of West Palm Beach, wearing number 3 in black.
On the drive, active hands, staying with it. Gray hits the back stand, but there was nothing but clean ball action up top there.
Craig Victor going to the sideline, and a very, very productive handful of minutes. He played about 6 minutes, getting a nice hand from a pretty sparse crowd here on a stormy evening in Baton Rouge. Of course, the students are no longer on campus. Inside of 10 minutes remaining in the opening half. Simmons back on the floor wearing number 25 in white. Pull-up jump shot off the screen. Isaiah Ivey not close. And while we have a moment, want to remind everybody, coming up later tonight, it's the second game of our doubleheader starting at 9 o'clock. Justin Coleman has taken over at the point for someone who should know a lot about the position. That's Avery Johnson, now head coach of the Crimson Tide, and they'll be tested by Winthrop right here on the SEC ESPN network, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
I saw Coleman last year as a freshman go into Arkansas and Bud Walton Arena and absolutely put on a show in the second half. And now he's got to be a consistent player. With Ingram being out, you look to him to have to lead the team at the point guard position as Retno Basahan, the reigning SEC Player of the Week, had a great game against Clemson. And try to build momentum as you head towards conference play.
Josh Gray picks up his first personal foul for LSU, just 3 team fouls. And for Gardner-Webb, they have 5. And for the running Bulldogs of Gardner-Webb, Sean, only 4 of 17 from the floor.
Defensively, they've done a nice job keeping and forcing them to take jump shots. And I think Johnny Jones will be really pleased going into break if they can continue to do this for the next 9 minutes.
Step back jump shot once again by Nelson, trying to get himself going offensively. Epps, step back 15-footer is good, but Simmons drew the defense. He's so unselfish and reads the game so well.
Well, and you saw the ball get down low in his hands, how quickly he shot it right back out to the three-point line. Now you're scrambling. That's a higher percentage shot.
That ball thrown out of bounds, but the official is going to rule that it was deflected off the hand of an LSU Tiger.
Watch this quick entry pass, and then just as quickly it is shifted back out. Now the defense, who had to pinch in on Ben Simmons, that's what frees up Epps. So sometimes you impact the game even when you don't get credit for the assist, like Ben Simmons did right there.
Long three-pointer on the way off the back of the iron. Battle for the rebound, and that'll be LSU's basketball. Should mention that Pat Adams, Carl Hess, and Michael Roberts are calling this evening's game here at the Maravich Center.
Well, Pat Adams was on that game, North Carolina and Texas over the weekend. A great game and a huge win for Shaka Smart and the Texas Longhorns, but they did a great job in the final minutes of that game on the shot, trying to determine whether or not it was good or not.
It took a long time to sort it out, but they got it right. And boy, it was off of Javon Felix's fingertips by about a centimeter. Offensive rebound.
By the way, that ball was off of Ben Simmons' fingertips real quick to get his teammate open, and an easy look right there.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. As you mentioned, averaging 6 assists per contest, and he takes very good care of the basketball. And he plays both ends of the floor. He wouldn't be leading the nation in rebounding. A big call here. Did they call that his second personal foul?
I think that's going to be Ben Simmons, and I do believe that at times he needs to be more demanding of his offensive game and say, you know what, I'm going to take over this contest. But they do have a lot of good offensive weapons at LSU, and they've played together at the offensive end, and a clear example of that is 9 assists on 10 made field goals so far for the LSU Tigers.
Foul on Aaron Epps, and it's going to be free throws coming now to Brandon Miller, 6'6" redshirt freshman out of Orlando, Florida, and Gardner-Webb. When Simmons went to the sideline, LSU was leading 26-10. Let's see what the score is after this remaining 7:56 has been run off, and if Gardner-Webb is able to get back in this basketball game. First free throw up and good. Second leaves a bounce and does not get it as Epps takes the rebound. Again, Brandon Sampson on the floor now. Josh Gray, number 5 in white, running the point. It's been a steady diet of zone from Gardner-Webb. Good spin down inside, lost a little bit his footing as Fred Victor has come back on. Victor with half a dozen points in his first game this year for LSU.
I think I get him with a hand check.
Yeah, that's a good call along the baseline. It was interesting, of course, several rule changes coming into effect this year. The 30-second as opposed to 35-second shot clock. The extended restricted area, which I think is a very, very good addition. But also, it wasn't just a point of emphasis coming into this season. It was a directive to clean up the game and the contact on the perimeter, a lot of the hand checking, and to create a lot more freedom of movement as Elbert Robinson III comes back on wearing number 3 in white. That was Victor's second personal foul, and now it's going to be free throws coming. Pretty good attack by Gardner-Webb.
A little change in philosophy at the offensive end. They settled for a ton of jump shots early in this game. As you mentioned, going to the break, they were just 4 of 19 shooting overall from the field, 21%. Coming out of the timeout, they're starting to be more aggressive, looking to attack off the bounce. They've drawn 2 personal fouls in this one possession.
And LSU now out of fouls. They're over the limit, so it'll be 1+1.
And sometimes when you're struggling from the field, you have to manufacture points at the free throw line. 74% as a team. This is a very good free throw shooting team overall for Gardner-Webb.
Second free throw rattles out, and that's going to be a foul going over the top that time on Miller of Gardner-Webb, and will go the other way. A lot of talk around college basketball, Sean, about LSU and their 4-4 record.
Yeah, well, this week alone, I mean, people have been talking about whether or not they make the tournament. It's mid-December. And look, has it gone as well as everybody planned? Did they anticipate this team being 4-4 right now? No. Clearly, that answer is no.
Oh, they called a block at the other end and count the basket. Good attack by Brandon Sampson, and again, a bang-bang play. Brandon Miller picks up the personal foul.
Well, and part of the reason has been because of struggling play by players like Sampson. I mean, who's really been a struggle at the defensive end, and offensively, he's been out of rhythm and out of flow. But that was a nice aggressive turn, utilizing his elite-level athleticism to finish above the defense.
Sampson averaging 8 points, 2 rebounds. He was Mr. Basketball in Louisiana last year, shooting only 31% from three-point range, and has taken his share of it. LSU now leading it by 17, 29-12. Battle down inside, lots of contact, and Robinson got the better of it as Nelson couldn't get inside of Robinson's defense.
But when you come into the year, though, seen as a top 20 team with the best player in college basketball, the expectation is that you're going to continue to improve and grow. That has not necessarily been the case so far in this season. Will this game act as a turning point for LSU? If they can stay committed to the defensive end of the floor, can they continue to rebound the way that they need to, even as the competition will improve, certainly at the start of conference play?
Half a dozen now for Brandon Sampson coming off the bench, the three-point play, and then he drops the triple. Gardner-Webb is 0 for their last 7 from the floor. Spin up top off the side of the iron. That ball deflected out of bounds off Gardner-Webb, and it will be LSU's basketball. That's the very difficult start. Welcome to the new year if you're LSU.
Ben Simmons, good luck going to Vandy, your first road game to start conference play. You get Kentucky at home, Florida playing well on the road. Ole Miss, Andy Kennedy, his 200th career victory at Ole Miss last night. What a culture he has built there, and of course Stephon Moody has been playing outstanding.
Hornsby, his first 3 so far on the evening, coming off a 32-point career-high performance in the loss at Houston.
Well, good substitution to get him back in the game because LSU was struggling to find somebody that wanted to score the basketball, and Hornsby, a very good shooter from the outside, should open up some of that interior.
Good step through by Nelson, has to kick it out to number 23, Adonis Burbage. And the rebound will be taken by LSU and Keith Hornsby. 3-point field goals. Gardner-Webb now 2 of 10. LSU 5 of 8 after that make by Hornsby. Battle for the offensive rebound. Epps will come away with it. Fresh shot clock. 5 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Gray, spot up 3-point jump shot, rattles in and out. Robinson got away with a push on 2 big hands right in the back. But it created a second possession, that off of Sampson, and it'll be Gardner-Webb's basketball. Want to remind on Thursday, it's the SEC Nation Bowl preview show with Joe, Paul, Tim, Marcus, Greg, Kaylee, as they break down all the games the SEC teams are playing in. SEC Nation Bowl preview show Thursday at 7 Eastern on the SEC ESPN network, and as always streaming live on Watch ESPN.
We look forward to see Joe Tess, my broadcast partner on Thursday nights on ESPN in the SEC basketball season. Not too far around the corner. He'll have to make that transition from football to basketball.
And it will be seamless.
Oh, of course.
To boxing.
Yes. Joe does a little bit of everything. Heismanology, he's got you covered. But no, we've been talking over the last couple of weeks. The excitement building towards the SEC as far as basketball goes. And obviously there's been some losses, in particular with LSU, that have kind of made people think differently. But Frank Martin has the South Carolina Gamecocks off to such a great start this season. And although the competition level is going to increase coming forward, this is an experienced group that wants to defend in Columbia, South Carolina, and that's a big reason why you add P.J. Dozier to the mix, who had a career high last night. There's reason to believe that South Carolina is going to be a team that we're going to be talking about even come March in the SEC.
Tyrell Nelson, the 6'7", 235-pound junior, trying to get going. The leading scorer for Gardner-Webb, and getting to the free throw line and having a little success. Gardner-Webb looking up now at LSU, trailing 35-13. A little bit of an awkward play. Epps down on the floor to save that. Sampson looking for the big fella, and that is a very, very ill-advised pass and turnover.
Well, that whole possession, Sampson, and it just shows you kind of the youthfulness in his game. Just trying to do way too much, and the game is going way too quickly for him. He needs to slow himself down and gain some composure, in particular on that last possession.
Step back jump shot by McBride, and the rebound taken in traffic this time by Tim Quarterman, who just picked up his first personal foul the last possession. Quarterman dribbles into traffic, and they call a foul on number 4, McBride. So 1-1 coming to LSU.
Well, Tim Quarterman is a player that really had a breakout season a year ago. And just not at the defensive end of the floor where he was an all-conference defensive member. But he recorded his first triple-double against Ole Miss last season with 18, 10, and 10. And his versatility caused a lot of matchup problems for teams late in the SEC season. This year, though, has not been as committed to the defensive end. And I spoke with him before the game and said, what do you have to do to get back to being that player? Because that was the player that people started noticing in that team that had so much talent a year ago with Martin and Mickey. And that it really just has to come down to my focus. And he goes, I need to do a lot better job talking, and I know that I need to. And so he can be one of those guys. Should be a very good perimeter defensive player for LSU.
Nelson again trying to find some space. Tough shot. Gets bailed out a little bit as Elbert Robinson III picks up the personal foul. And when we come back, it'll be his father, a Hall of Famer in Australian basketball, played there for 13 years. And they have a home here in Baton Rouge. And I would imagine it's a 1-year lease.
Hopefully a 6-month lease. Even better.
Let him enjoy 9 months. Let's make it 9 months.
No, it's you know what, you look at the impact that Ben Simmons has had this year in college, and from night one he has lived up to expectations. Every game except for one, he's had a double-double in. And in fact, one of those games he failed to score 10 points, but he had over 10 assists and 14 rebounds in it. The one game he didn't have a double-double, he had 20 and 9. I don't know why he was slacking.
Well, he is averaging a double-double, so you can almost mark it down each and every night.
Obviously some huge games, and he's going to continue to throw up big games. And some of his scoring might go down a little bit because teams are going to continue to focus so much of him at the offensive end. That's where guys like Hornsby and Craig Victor can really benefit as you get closer to conference play.
Fellow Australian number 22 in white, Darcy Malone, the 7-footer out of Canberra, Australia. He picks up the personal foul, so it'll be free throws coming, and it's the double bonus now for the rest of the half for Gardner-Webb. 3:23 remaining. LSU got out quickly, 11-6, led it 17-10. Simmons picked up his second personal foul, but LSU was leading 26-10, and now the advantage is 35-13.
Well, and we touched on it, and this is a 74% free throw shooting team coming into the game. They are 4 for 11 right now from the stripe.
And they've been in the 1-1 for a long time and not taking much advantage. A little full court pressure. Careless handling the basketball, and on the turnover, here comes Gardner-Webb, number 3 with it, LaQuincy Rideau. And he takes it right to the rim, throws it up and in, close to an opportunity for a three-point play.
Well, the pressure worked out. It sped LSU up. Turnover, loose ball, create an opportunity to have to be able to score without having to go against the half-court defense of LSU. That's what created the lane to finish.
Antonio Blakeney, number 2 in white, back on, now on the right wing, and Gardner-Webb playing some man-to-man. Hornsby, couple of dribbles, pull-up jump shot off the front of the iron, rebound taken in traffic by Lassane Nyangane. That make down in the paint, Sean, by Rideau, that ended a streak, and I mean a frigid streak, of 12 straight misses from the floor. And that's a good call. That's a suspended dribble there. And so on the turnover, it will be LSU's basketball. Saturday, on the SEC ESPN network. We've got a full day and night of college hoops starting at noon. These same LSU Tigers and Ben Simmons highlight the afternoon game at 2 Eastern against Oral Roberts, and at 4 it's Gavin Ware and the Mississippi State Bulldogs taking on Tulane. All games are also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Back with Sean Farnham, former UCLA Bruin and college coach. I'm Paul Sunderland. Thanks for joining us. SEC Network basketball coming your way, and it's been all the SEC and all LSU so far. Hornsby gets his own miss. Very poor lockout and rebounding by Gardner-Webb.
Well, and Keith Hornsby just stays with it. He plays so hard. And as I mentioned off the top, they've missed him as he's been out with his sports hernia because it's allowed guys to get a little comfortable in their play. And when you're uncomfortable, you usually start playing a little bit harder. And Hornsby has a way about him when he's out on the floor to make the opponent uncomfortable. And subsequently, his teammates start seeing that and feeding off of that energy.
Foul is going against Gardner-Webb. Nyangane and go to the other end to shoot some free throws. I was going to ask you about Keith Hornsby. Had a very productive year last year, and although Simmons doesn't play like a freshman, this is a very young basketball team for LSU with 3 freshmen in the starting lineup and maybe more playing minutes. How much did it hurt LSU's culture coming into the year to not have him available?
I think it was huge because what do the coaching staff think of Hornsby? He's Ben Simmons' roommate. So that should tell you how high of a quality of person he is and how they wanted Ben Simmons to be around him. So when you don't have that component with you and he's not out on the court, it changes a lot as far as what LSU wants to do.
Darcy Malone with his first basket at the other end, and good attack by number 23, Adonis Burbidge for Gardner-Webb off the turnover.
Soft pass, but Antonio Blakeney is backing up. And when he started backing up, that's what allowed the turnover to actually happen. You got to go and meet the ball.
LSU leading it 39-19, inside of a minute remaining. Good 2-man game. Boy, a long time in the lane. And here comes Quarterman back up the floor, wearing number 55 in white. He'll pull it out and reset out to Malone. You don't have to ask him twice. We saw him at practice today, and the 7-footer's got a very nice stroke.
Yeah, he has been limited as far as minutes go, but due to fouls, he's getting an opportunity here in the first half, and he was shooting the ball very well the last 2 days.
Good deep entry pass on the turnaround post. There's the offensive rebound. Lots of contact. And Tyrell Nelson really staying with it. But do you like that shot from Malone?
No, because the one more pass is to Hornsby. So if you are asking me, and if you're asking Johnny Jones, or if you're asking the people that are sitting behind us, do you want Malone or Hornsby shooting 3-point shots? I'm guaranteeing you all of us are going with Hornsby.
Well, and especially time and score. When he took that shot, there was about, let's say, 45 seconds remaining. You've been in complete control of the first half. Start strong, finish strong. And even though he's a good shooter, and he had just made and earned 2 points down in the lane, I agree with you, Sean, completely. Should not have taken that shot.
Sometimes you're that open on the outside
for a reason. Epps picked up his second personal foul, and once again, Gardner-Webb, they have trailed significantly in this basketball game, but they'd be in much better shape going into the locker room if they could make a free throw. Shot clock and game clock separated by about 5/10, final possession of the opening half.
Put this into perspective as the clock is winding down here. LSU gave up 21 points in overtime against Houston. They've given up 20 in the entire first half tonight.
Quarterman down the lane, hit on the arm. Count the basket, and it's going to be a try for a 3-point play coming to LSU.
LSU is doing what they're doing offensively because that's consistently where they've been. I mean, 85 points per game. They're really likely, obviously they're over 80 right now, it'd be at 82 if the free throw is missed here as far as expectation in the second half. But to me, the storyline, there's other teams like Florida, though, that are stepping up. As we mentioned, South Carolina already. I think Georgia with their experienced guards, Deontay Mayton's growth, they've got the potential to start rounding into form, too. A little bit of disappointment that they've experienced so far with some of those early losses like they had to Chattanooga.
And Florida really belonged when they put a lot of pressure on the #1 team in the nation from Michigan State. Time winding down, shot clock, and McBride buries a 3-pointer. So a couple of mistakes make a shot. So there are lots of rebounds to be had.
Settling for perimeter jump shots, 14 3-pointers in the first half. And I think if you're LSU, you want to see that number and that trend continue in the second. And it's good to see Craig Victor get the start here at the beginning stages of the second half, and he played so well in his first appearance for LSU. He's going to be in the starting lineup in the near future, probably next time out.
Yeah, no question about that against Oral Roberts in an American, a couple more non-conference games. Here's Simmons, crossover dribble, gets inside, missed the layup, gets his own rebound, fights through contact, not there, and the ball will come out to Tim Quarterman. Quarterman out there with Simmons, along with Antonio Blakeney, Keith Hornsby as well, with Victor, as you mentioned, Sean, in the starting lineup. Good entry pass, wild-looking shot. Victor will get bailed out this time and shoot a couple of free throws. The
second time, though, he's caught the ball in that situation, that spot on the floor, and he's taken too long of a step, and he's got himself off balance. He needs to shorten that step, keep his base strong and firm, and go through the contact more towards the basket.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's just trying to draw some contact here and get bailed out. Fight through it, get to the rim, and try to get to a three-point play. And we should remember that Craig Victor from nearby New Orleans, the transfer from Arizona, he left Arizona to semester last year, came back home, came to Baton Rouge. So he's been practicing with the team. It's not like he's coming back from injury or he transferred just at the beginning of this year. He should be very, very familiar with his teammates as he comes up dry on both free throws. Just underway here in the second half. LSU is 4-4 on the year. Gardner-Webb is 4-6. Gardner-Webb, the running Bulldogs, coming off a 20-point win at Furman, whereas LSU, a loser at Houston on Sunday, 105-98 in overtime when Ben Simmons fouled out with 2:41 remaining.
The illegal screen will create the turnover opportunity for LSU.
I'm glad the officials are really paying attention. There were hundreds of illegal screens in games last year. They've really worked hard to try to clean that up. Quarterman, the back pass, and Simmons will dig it out.
See, that's an example, little thing, but you got to be stronger with the ball that time. Quarterman just too lazy with the pass. You can't get lazy even in the second half of a game where you've got it firmly in control.
Step back jump shot off the iron over the top of the board. A shot taken by Quarterman against the shot clock. Tim Quarterman, 6 foot, 690-pound junior out of Savannah, Georgia, had 27 points in the loss, tying a career high at Houston.
In the last two games, 47 points, shooting 65% from the floor over that two-game stretch coming into tonight.
Good hedge by him and Simmons.
You see the potential, though. You see glimpses of the defense and what it could be if they want to buy into this end of the floor.
Dylan McBride on the attack. Shot clock down to 6. Fallback jump shot. Nothing but air, and here comes Quarterman.
That's because the great contest by Blakeney. I mean, he was right there, no space available.
Victor, a couple of jab steps, an ill-advised shot there. Very poor ball movement. Wouldn't you agree, Sean?
I think if you think about it that long, you probably shouldn't take it. I thought less on what tie I was wearing for the broadcast tonight than he did on that jump shot.
It shows.
Thank you. I know I got to step up my game. I mean, I knew I was working with you.
Boy, lots of contact down inside, and Tyrell Nelson, after lots of contact with Victor down inside, is going to be called for the traveling violation.
He traveled after he was hit in the head twice. So, I mean, I think that one should have been a foul against Victor, and it should be Gardner-Webb's ball instead of a turnover going in the opposite direction.
6th turnover for Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb out of that zone. Here is Simmons. Jab step looking for the lob. And as we talked about, you know, that he only played 10 minutes. That is Ben Simmons in the first half. But that was really an impressive 10 minutes. The way he sees the floor, the way he moves the ball, the way he understands spacing, the way he understands the game at the defensive end as well.
It's funny because people will look at us and be like, oh, you guys are just heaping on this praise. It's so unjustified. Other players were making plays. And they're right. Look, other guys for LSU are making plays. But none are making better plays than Ben Simmons. Whether or not he's scoring the basketball or not, he had a couple of assists that were given to other players in the first half that he solely created because he was reading the defense and he saw that second pass. You know, it's like an elite level quarterback that can read not only the initial read, but sees the second option that's available and how that's going to open up late in the play if he can just keep his feet set and move up in the pocket. And that's what Ben Simmons is to the basketball court. He reads the defense as well as anybody in the country, regardless of size.
Craig Victor's done a lot of good things tonight in his debut for LSU, but one of them is not shooting free throws. Now just 1 of 6 from the line. LSU leading at 42-23. Neither team, as you can tell, has scored so far in the second half. Poston, the step-back jumper, not there. And here comes Simmons out of the backcourt. Crossover dribble right down the lane. Has that ball deflected off his leg and out of bounds. Pretty good reach in that time by Gardner-Webb at the defensive end.
Well, this is where Ben Simmons usually is elite in his ability to finish as he tried to gather up. He lost control of the ball, but in the open floor, I think there's very few players that when they get a defensive rebound can explode up and exploit the defense better than Ben Simmons. I think Chris Dunn obviously is one of them at Providence.
And a natural left-hander, but very, very comfortable, as you know, Sean, finishing, I'm speaking of Simmons, with his right hand as well. Down in the lane, that ball comes up well short. Rebound taken by Blakeney and quickly out of the backcourt. Hornsby, a little bit of a double clutch, but that's his stroke, and he knocks down the mid-range jump shot.
Yeah, he didn't double clutch it. That's just his normal shooting motion. Very good out in transition. In the first half, Gardner-Webb did a nice.
Now in his third year, the Runnin' Bulldogs, as they are known, were 20-15 last year and 10-8 in the conference.
Well, I like the mindset of LSU. There has been no drop-off as far as energy and effort goes so far in the early stages of this second half defensively.
And the Tigers were able to extend the lead over Gardner-Webb even after Simmons picked up his second personal foul with about 7.5 minutes remaining. Nelson working hard down along the baseline. Boy, there was a lot of contact there. He cannot get a call. Good look ahead to Simmons. The jump stop, lays it up and in and count the basket.
Yeah, he runs the floor, the soft hands, the ability to maintain possession of the ball. And where did it start, though? We can applaud the offense, but it starts at the defensive end. And Craig Victor might have got away with one, but Keith Hornsby makes sure at the other end of the floor that they find two. A nice job out in transition. Look at Ben Simmons, how well he runs the floor. Straight line. Putting pressure on the defense to have to flatten out. If the option wasn't there for him, Antonio Blakeney was going to be wide open.
McBride trying to split the double team. Victor, and he finally comes up with the loose ball. Just underway here in the second half. Thanks so much for joining us. SEC college basketball coming your way, and the lob down inside Quarterman with the assist to Simmons.
Again, it comes off dribble penetration, forcing the back line of the defense to react in step two, and then you start watching, and when you start watching the ball, you start giving up lanes to the rim.
Shot clock at 6. McBride step back three-pointer is up and good over Quarterman, who just shakes his head over at you and says, no, not that one.
That was from some distance.
McBride leading the way. All scorers now with 14. Step back jump shot taken by Blakeney. He's found his stroke after a really, really bad patch. After a good start to his freshman season here at LSU.
Yeah, think about it. He was named the SEC Freshman of the Week the first week of the season. Double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. I think a lot of people expected it to be an LSU freshman to be named Freshman of the Week, week one. I think they just anticipated it would be Ben Simmons.
McBride again feeling it out of the corner and buries another three. Number 4 in black and red for Gardner-Webb now with 17. 5 of 6 from three-point range. Maybe a good idea to guard him a little bit. Good spin down inside, and Craig Victor looks like the real deal. He came out, and boy, he sure passes the eye test when he walked on the floor, Sean.
Well, just a different option, a different type of big on the inside for LSU, and they've needed that desperately at both ends of the floor, but it's a good thing to have, to recenter yourself. And LSU's done a nice job recentering themselves and committing themselves to the defensive end.
A little more pressure on McBride. The kick out to the wing and an air ball there by DJ Laster. So other than McBride, Gardner-Webb is shooting a bagel from outside the arc. Ooh, pass inside by Quarterman.
Bad offensive possession.
Yeah, really bad possession. Simmons deflects that ball out of bounds. Still plenty of time on the shot clock.
Tim Quarterman didn't even wait, by the way, for the horn to sound. He knew where he was headed.
Exit stage right.
Yeah. You get a couple of 3-point shots where you had your hands down and you allowed Gardner-Webb to knock down a couple. Then you come out of a timeout and you're just sloppy and careless with the basketball. So you sit back down and you refocus. And Johnny Jones doing a nice job talking to him.
Gardner-Webb trying to split the double team with David Ifignani. And speaking of Quarterman going out, Josh Gray, 6'1" senior out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, who made 20 starts last year on the floor, now wearing number 5 in white. There is Quarterman. Did not start the last game, a disciplinary issue, but did come off the bench and had a big game in the loss to Houston with, again, a career high tying 27 points. Off the loose ball. That's going to be a backcourt by. Oh, look out. Oh, that was an awkward fall. Josh Gray went down and had his knee slip underneath him.
That like the old days in the front yard with the slip and slide? Remember the old slip and slide? One. I used to love the slip and slide when I was a kid.
Great toy.
Oh, I mean, hot summer day. I mean, it's been raining outside, but watch the slip and slide. Whee! Good job by Keith Hornsby. And then Josh Gray's like, I'm going to fall
Josh Gray. He goes in the wet spot.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, did you not understand that when he was sliding all the way out, that's a sweat mark going all the way across the floor now?
I'll tell you, that was an awkward fall. It might have seemed minor, but good to see number 5 in white Gray able to laugh that one off.
Well, you've got to laugh that one off. That's just, sometimes we're talking about basketball. We're having a great time. These guys putting out effort. And I think if you're Johnny Jones, that's the one thing you're most pleased about there is it was going to be an over and back regardless. But Keith Hornsby wasn't pleased with just an over and back. He wanted to sell out and try to get the ball, and Josh Gray was right behind him.
LSU in complete control, looking for Simmons on the lob. He gives it right back to Gray. That's pretty good inbound play, going back to the player who inbounds the basketball, and Gray will fight back and get the loose ball. Hornsby on the dribble penetration. Good block off the weak side that time by Lasker for Gardner-Webb. Shot clock did not reset, down to 6. Simmons going to work. Right-handed, little fall away jump hook.
You see little things like just the awareness. A great job in defensive transition by Antonio Blakeney with his deny hand up.
Outside to Victor. He's already made 1 3. That off the front of the iron. Good blockouts, and the rebound taken by Brandon Miller, number 14 in black. Here comes Gardner-Webb. Got a long way to go to get back in this basketball game. Rideau high up off the glass for the score. LSU still leading it, 53-31.
Good patience right now for LSU. No need to rush it. Work on your sets. Work on your spacing. Be unselfish.
Simmons on the crossover dribble right to the front of the rim and finishes once again.
I mean, he actually lost control of the ball as he was going towards the paint, but still was able to regain it and then finish up over the top.
Simmons now with 8. I think he'll be out at the next dead ball. Nice play by Gray going the other way. A foul is called. It won't be free throws. We'll be back. You're watching college basketball on the SEC ESPN network. It's all LSU.
To be here, standing in front of him. Hey, David, move aside. We're talking about Ben. Thank you. But no, look at Ben Simmons, and I had one scout tell me last year that if he would have come out of high school, and obviously that's not allowed, that he would have been the number 1 pick, and Karl Anthony Towns would have fallen to number 2.
Wow.
That's how much the guys in the NBA are impressed and enamored with the skill set that Ben Simmons has. And that's saying a lot because Karl Anthony Towns is having a very strong rookie campaign.
You mentioned David Patrick, who was so kind to listen to your instructions and move out of the way, formerly an assistant at St. Mary's. And if you followed the Gales basketball program, a tremendous Australian influence. Matthew Dellavedova there, among many others through
Patty
the years.
Mills.
Yep. And David Patrick was a very good friend of David Simmons, and that's how the relationship was built. And it's a very close-knit family. And when Ben was making his choice, and he could have gone anywhere, wanted someone with that sort of strong support system already in place.
And that's why LSU was the destination. And David Patrick does an outstanding job, not just recruiting and having the international ties, but Also, the point of emphasis as far as rebounding goes, and he has taken it personal at practice. They've been charting it at practice. How many times do you fail to box out? Are you allowing straight line drives? These are the things in the areas in which he now is taking ownership in on this coaching staff. And I think it's showing up so far here tonight, the commitment that they've made over the last couple of days.
Both free throws missed that time by Robinson, and the foul is called against Aaron Epps on the floor now as Simmons is taking a breather on the sideline. LSU made 4 of its first 5 free throws. They got to clean this up. Since then, 1 for their last 10 from the free throw line. That's how you lose conference games. That's how you lose close games. Gray with it. Outside to Hornsby off the side of the iron. And here comes Gardner-Webb once again. Number 3, Rideau attacking the rim. That shot almost blocked by Sampson. And the follow-up good once again.
When Gardner-Webb, when they've had the opportunities to get out in transition, they have found clean looks. And those quick shot 3-pointers are okay if they go in. If they don't, they usually lead to fast breaks.
Nice play off the screen and roll. Josh Gray finding Robinson down inside now with half a dozen. And this one getting a little ragged. A lot of moves right at the rim. It'll be free throws coming to David Ifeanyi now for Gardner-Webb. Want to remind everybody, coming up later tonight, it's the second game of our doubleheader starting at 9 o'clock. Justin Coleman has taken over at the point for Avery Johnson's Crimson Tide. They'll be tested by Winthrop right here on the SEC ESPN network. Also streaming live on Watch ESPN. What do you think about Avery Johnson coming to the college ranks after a couple of pretty good stints, most notably with the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA?
Well, I think it's a great hire. I think it's going to inject life into Alabama's fan base. And, one of the things that's important for recruits that they care about is, do you know how to get me to the next level? Avery Johnson knows it as a player and as a coach. And it's proven off already. I mean, top 20 recruiting class heading into the next college basketball season. So he and his staff has done a great job.
Lazy pass here near midcourt. Epps just picked up his 4th personal foul. And here comes a little full court pressure. Darcy Malone also on the floor now, and that foul is going to be called. Easy play to call on LaQuincy Rideau.
But I think, the SEC overall has done a nice job changing the dynamics as far as recruiting goes. You see the lazy pass pays off for 2 for Gardner-Webb, but we saw it last year. I mean, LSU has a great recruiting class. Texas A&M, obviously Kentucky is always noted to have a great class. Michael White down at Florida has done a nice job keeping Billy Donovan's class intact and bringing him this season. You've seen how it's paid off already for the Gators. Ben Howland changing the mindset. Bruce Pearl at Auburn. The SEC overall is getting in a lot of homes, and they're getting a lot of great talented players, which is going to change this conference moving forward.
Malone thought about the 3. That's a little better percentage shot. I think he heard about that 3-pointer. He took it towards the end of the first half from his coach as well as from you as well at the break. Dangerous pass to no one in particular. That ball thrown out of bounds by Nelson.
One of the things we've known about LSU all season long is the ability to have a big Aussie control the ball with fancy footwork and be able to finish. His last name hasn't been Malone. That was a nice move, though. He's been watching Ben Simmons going, hey, I could do that too. Watch.
He looks like he can, he's got a pretty well-rounded game. He can score around the basket. He's got a pretty nice stroke. And his fellow Australian will get him the basketball in good spots. So he could play some important minutes down along the way. And Keith Hornsby on the floor once again. And I think he picked up the personal foul.
Well, a bad set of possessions for LSU. They're starting to get a little carefree with it. And it's too early to be getting carefree with 9:41 left to go in this game. A turnover on that last possession for Keith Hornsby with the errant pass, and then that time just completely out of control instead of securing the ball and gaining the possession and setting up your offense. Can't be in such a hurry. It's like skiing. You've done a lot of skiing.
I'm one of the 6'5" guy that's done a lot of skiing.
But the weight, if your weight distribution gets over on top of your skis, which is essentially your feet, you're going to fall.
Josh Gray on the run out after the turnover, lays it up in the air. Give the assist to Keith Hornsby. Again, if you haven't been following LSU basketball, November 3rd had to undergo sports hernia surgery. That's going to be a very easy score at the other end by Nyangene from Gardner-Webb. But to finish that story, didn't play until Sunday. Plays 37 minutes, scores 32 points. Comes from a very, very multi-talented family. Victor up into the bottom of the board. He'll get bailed out and shoot a couple of free throws. Keith Hornsby's brother is a very talented middle distance runner at maybe the best track and field program outside of the SEC in the NCAA. That's the University of Oregon. Of course, his father is many-time Grammy winner, musician, songwriter Bruce Hornsby, who we understand is here somewhere, but he likes to sit up in the dark by himself.
Well, you know what, and we were talking about it, and last year, you know, there's always, no matter what, and then Brad Nessler and I on the call on Super Tuesday, often we'd see Keith make a shot, and we'd go, hey, that's just the way it is. Well, there's his brother.
Yeah.
His brother's not sitting up top. His brother's like, Dad, you can go sit up top. I'm down. I'm staying down low.
Oh, a couple of misses. More free throws missed. I mean, the free throw shooting for LSU is just terrible.
It is, but it allows us time to continue our story about Keith. So, Keith, last year, every time he hit a shot, we'd say Keith Hornsby with the range, you know, playing
yes,
out.
Of course.
Hey, that's just the way it is, and we're playing off all these lines. But the reality of it is, Keith Hornsby has become his own player, and his dad, when we were talking yesterday, said, "You know what, Sean? I'm just happy I'm Keith's dad." You know, and that's really where it is this year. And Keith has done such a great job as far as his work rate to garner the respect that he deserves as an individual and a player.
The free throw shooting struggles continue after making 4 of their first 5 overall. LSU is now 5 of 19. That sounds like a bad night from outside the three-point line.
No, they're 0 for 11 in the second half. They have not made a free throw here in the second half.
Efyani with a attack of the basket, and number 11 in black will get to the free throw line to shoot a pair. 6'2" redshirt freshman out of Orlando, Florida. They really like the upside for this young man, known to have really great bounce. It has been all LSU so far. They got out to the quick 11-6 lead. They led it 26-10, 42-23 at the half. The lead then exploded 53-29, and now with 8:42 remaining in this one, LSU in control, 61-39.
And you mentioned Efyani, and one of the things that he has done a nice job of is his field goal percentage. He's been very selective in his shots, but shooting above 55% over the last 4 games. So you're talking about a freshman as your starting conference play already for Gardner-Webb that's starting to play some good quality basketball for your team. So moving forward, that's going to be a big part of this roster.
Full court pressure once again, handed by Victor in the backcourt, quickly into the front court to Sampson. An easy finish on the assist to Antonio Blakeney, now in double figures with 11. That was awfully easy against the press. Efyani once again, and there's a blow by.
And that was awfully easy off the bounce. No, good decision by Antonio. He thought about it. You saw him looking at the rim from where we're sitting right now, and you knew he was thinking about getting a shot up.
Careless turnover that time by Josh Gray, and it's going to be easy run out, throw down that time by Tyrell Nelson. You know, LSU's played a pretty good 30 minutes of basketball, and they've got a lot of improving to do, as we've talked about, coming in at only 4-4. They got to use every minute they're on the floor to get better.
But playing with a sense of urgency doesn't mean you play quick, but it means that you play smart. That you understand time and possession. You understand how you want to execute defensively and offensively.
Shot clock at 3. Down inside to Victor once again. Away from the contact, but that time up through it strongly enough, Sean, as you pointed out, to get maybe a chance at a three-point play. Foul not called, but he got the bucket.
Which is probably good with the way he's been shooting free throws. But his base was good, and it was strong, and he was going towards the basket. And for LSU facilities, the talk so often in the SEC, deservedly so, because of the high quality in which we see on the football field on Saturdays throughout the fall. But the commitment made to football. Well, the commitment is there for basketball, too. The beautiful practice facility here at LSU. Ole Miss already has a great practice facility. Now they got a brand new building that they're going to be moving into. So the commitment is there in the sport, and I think that's another big part of why we see so many of the top high school prep stars signing up to commit to SEC schools.
Efyani back at the free throw line. 7:18 remaining in this one. As mentioned for LSU, they'll go at it next against Oral Roberts as Keith Hornsby comes back on, replacing Brandon Sampson. Going out, number 0. Greg Victor has looked very good in his debut for LSU, and I asked you earlier, but now that you've had a chance to see him play for 20-plus minutes, I'm not saying he's a game changer, but he elevates this team. But the question is how much?
Well, I think he can make a huge impact, as we've seen, maintaining post position, being active around the rim, not a shot blocker like a Jordan Mickey was a season ago, but he also forces you have to defend the paint. And he applies pressure, even though he's 1 of 10 shooting from the free throw line. When he's drawing those fouls, it's also going to send your good free throw shooters to the free throw line as well. So potentially, what kind of a difference maker is he? You couple him with Hornsby, and I think there's reason to believe that the assessment of who LSU is as a basketball team actually begins closer to tonight than maybe a month ago.
Really good ball movement led to the open three-pointer that was knocked down by Rideau. Blakeney at the other end guided that one a little bit, and there is Victor on the floor after it, getting LSU another possession. Simmons steps inside, has that shot rejected by the 6'1", LaQuincy Rideau.
You know Rideau is going to be replaying that on a Vine on his Twitter account for the rest of his life.
That's going to be on YouTube tomorrow.
He just swatted what will be the #1 player picked in the NBA draft next year.
That ball deflected out of bounds, a little bit out of control. Brandon Miller and Gardner-Webb. Another look.
Well, just a loose ball situation. Okay, I'm going to get up. Look, he's on the floor. He gets up. He recovers and tells the #1 player in the country, get that out of here.
LSU leading at 65-49. It's turned into a 16-point game, and I don't think LSU or their head coach Johnny Jones or anybody on the staff be very happy with the last 6 or 7 minutes played by LSU.
Well, they've gotten sloppy a little bit here, and they've got to be focused. You mentioned this at the 9-minute mark. You just started getting careless. The ball's kind of flying out of bounds, and it just wasn't real crisp. Meanwhile, for Gardner-Webb, of course, they already played High Point. That's their one loss in conference play. High Point tonight, playing at North Carolina State. They're up. More than past halfway in the second half. They're up by 2.
Long rebound comes out to Hornsby once again. Turns on the Jets like his brother Russell running track and field. It didn't look like he had numbers or an angle, but still got to the basket and will shoot a couple of free throws.
Making the transition offensively to defensively. You see a couple guys out in front of him, as you mentioned. Some track speed there. His brother in attendance watching. You get Hornsby to the line, though, and that's where the free throws and the fouls that go against Craig Victor, they add up. And although that one was on a shot, hand checks for the final 6 minutes. If you're Hornsby, you can start being aggressive and get to the free throw line, as he's very strong there. 4 for 4 now on the game from the stripe.
But LSU just 2 of 13 from the free throw line. And you wonder, okay, maybe it's an aberration on the night. We'll get you LSU's free throw numbers on the season. That's saved but out of bounds, and LSU will have it on the turnover. But, you know, Gardner-Webb, I know there's 5:46 remaining, but as awful as LSU has been at the free throw line, not a bad idea to maybe send them there with great regularity. One more foul, and LSU will be shooting 2 the rest of the game. And they called an offensive foul here on Quarterman, so it'll be Gardner-Webb's basketball.
They said he extended his arm out. A little bit. You definitely see that elbow fly up to the left, and I think they're going to be overly cautious with any kind of contact like that.
Third personal foul now on Quarterman. Efiani down inside. Good decision and kick into the corner. Wide open there, and Quarterman will take the rebound after the miss by Harold McBride. Here's Simmons drawing some contact, and there'll be 2 free throws coming. And with Ben Simmons going to the free throw line, want to remind tonight at 11 p.m. on SEC ESPN Network, join our network analysts as they discuss all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now, also streaming live on Watch ESPN.
Well, Ben Simmons earns the trip to the free throw line. Only 1 free throw attempted in the game.
Takes so many field goal attempts, Sean, with his right hand, you almost forget that his jump shot is with the left hand. He looks, remember the about 8 or 10 foot jump hook along the baseline? Took that right-handed.
Really modest numbers, though, for Simmons. 9 points to go with 7 rebounds, and yet LSU in firm control of this game.
That ball deflected out of bounds by Simmons on the good defensive rotation. 5:19 remaining in this one. Tim Kraft and Gardner-Webb out of the Big South Conference. Never really in this one. LSU got out to the 26-10 lead.
Yeah, but Coach Kraft has done a nice job with this program.
Has.
It's a well-organized team. and one that lost some critical parts from a year ago. And because of that, they're still trying to figure their way out this season. And you think about it, his third year at the helm at Gardner-Webb, he tied Eddie Holbrook with 38 wins in his first 2 seasons. Which ranks him second all-time in school history. A good young coach that's developing and building a program the right way.
Tyrell Nelson now missing that free throw after a battle down inside with Craig Victor, who picked up his 3rd personal foul. I talked about how well organized and well coached Gardner-Webb is. You know, they've been down by as many as 24, but they've stayed in their stuff. They're running their offense. They have chipped away. They should feel pretty good about how the way they played in the second half. Blakeney thought about it. He'll kick it back outside to Hornsby. 17-footer on the way, rattles in and out. Offensive rebound, and here comes Gardner-Webb once again. Nelson with it, kicks it to Effiani. And stepping out of bounds is Gardner-Webb along the sideline. That's LaQuincy Rideau, so the turnover now to the visitors. The running Bulldogs at 4-6 again on the year, 1-1 in conference play. Asked Tim Kraft, if it was a little bit unusual, you know, to step into conference play, then step out to play LSU. He said, no, our kids are so excited to play this game. We want to see Ben Simmons. We want to play against Ben Simmons and Blakeney and all the others. And it's LSU. Blakeney at the other end has that ball deflected out of bounds. So LSU will have it.
You see, they just press it a little bit right now. They've gotten out. I think if you're Johnny Jones, what you're going to tell your team is that we played 30 minutes of really good basketball. Yeah. And in the last 10 minutes, we relaxed. And we let off the throttle a little bit at the offensive end of the floor because we were trying to rush. We're trying to create. Maybe trying to get a little bit of their own. You know, and say, hey, I'm going to try to score right now. I got a lane. Instead of pulling it back out and then out-executing Gardner-Webb.
Blakeney with a tough fall-away jump shot. Not there. Nelson with a rebound.
In conference play, you're going to have to play 40 minutes, especially when you're looking at Vandy and then at home on the first Super Tuesday of the season, hosting Kentucky.
And not to make too much of a point out of it, good look down inside, ball mishandled. The foul is going to go against LSU. But does it show, at least this stage of the season, a little bit of lack of leadership? In other words, some of the seniors, some of the, like a Keith, you got to demand that you play the right way and play with maximum effort for all 40 minutes if this team wants to get back into the NCAA tournament.
Well, yes, because it can't come from Johnny Jones at all times. You know, at practice, he's the one that's most vocal. David Patrick as well, talking to the team, saying, we need to clean this up, we need to clean that up. This is where we need to improve at the defensive end of the floor. But eventually it's got to come from within. And who I think that is on the team is Hornsby and Victor. I think they're the ones that are going to have to be the vocal leaders. I mean, sometimes we forget Ben Simmons is a freshman, and it's really not his style to be this demonstrative figure, getting into people and getting upset with them.
That's one rhythm dribble, step back, jump shot not there. And here comes Gardner-Webb once again as we approach 4 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in this one. Good pass outside to Poston. I'll tell you, it was part of the reason why LSU, and interesting looking over the sideline, Tim Kraft just slapped his hand. Stevens going, where was that in the first couple of minutes of this game? Laid up and in off the turnover to give the basket to McBride.
Don't tell anybody right now. It's down to 13 with 4 minutes left to go, and LSU better clean it up right now because they're turning the ball over with too much frequency right now. And a good decision by Ben Simmons to pull it back out and run some clock here. They've been in firm control of this game, but what you're seeing is what we talked about with Coach Kraft's group. Well organized, and they never stop playing. They compete all the way throughout. They're going to play a full 40.
Step back jump shot by Quarterman. I don't know about that shot selection given time and score. You'd think he'd get something a little bit better. Aaron Epps deflects that ball out of bounds. 3:23 remaining in the nation at just under 15 per game, 19 points per contest to go along with 6 assists. 55% from the floor. Pretty good free throw shooter as well, although you wouldn't know it tonight. Hadn't gotten to the free throw line very often. But LSU 8 of 23 from the free throw line.
That's obviously nowhere close to where they should be.
Boy, that was easy. Nice set play. Keith Hornsby attacking the basket, adding to his total now with 13.
Now on the season, a 67% free throw shooting team. Sub 35% tonight. It's not good enough. It's a 15-point lead, but it shouldn't even be this close.
Nelson attacking the rim once again, knocked out of bounds by Epps along with Simmons. 11 to shoot, 2:50 remaining in the contest.
Meanwhile, High Point tied with North Carolina State with under 2 minutes left to go, 73-73.
That ball deflected away. Nelson out to get it. 3 seconds to shoot. Rhythm dribble off the back of the iron by Rideau, and the rebound taken by Ben Simmons. What did you think of Texas and North Carolina? It was a great game.
Great game, and what surprised me is North Carolina's inability to rebound the basketball. They got beat on second chance points in that contest, and Shaka Smart's team, the commitment they made to get on the glass was huge, because they did not shoot the ball well from the free throw line in that one.
That was a big early win. Hornsby back off the side of the iron, and coming out of the backcourt, Harold McBride. 2:05 remaining in this one. Shot off the front of the iron, and Simmons with a rebound. LSU leading 70-55.
Ben needs one more point, though. He's 1 point shy of a double-double. If he's going to keep the double-double streak rolling, he's got to get to the free throw line or score a basket here in the final 2 minutes.
Blakeney off the iron, and I'm not sure that's exactly the shot that Johnny Jones wanted either. Good hustle that time by Simmons. Orderman down the lane, had the ball deflected out of his hands. It'll be 2 free throws coming as both teams are in the double bonus. I want to remind everybody once again, Saturday on the SEC ESPN network, we've got a full day and night of college basketball starting at noon Eastern. The same LSU Tigers and Ben Simmons take on Oral Roberts at 2, and at 4, it's Gavin Ware and Mississippi State, the Bulldogs, taking on Tulane. All games also streaming live on Watch ESPN. A made free throw, Sean Farnham.
Some round of applause for the made free throw, but I think right now your LSU, your Johnny Jones, you saw growth tonight. Is it near to a finished product? No. Is it close to a finished product? No. But was there growth tonight in this LSU team from where it was even 2 nights ago against Houston? Yes.
Rebound taken by Epps, thrown right up and in once again. He had a career-high 8 rebounds in the opening half. He's got 8 points now and 9 rebounds. He has had some foul trouble. Make it 10 rebounds and obviously a career high. That was too easy at the other end for LSU. Brandon Miller with the score, and a timeout will be called by Gardner.
Improved, but it's good to see him back out on the floor and playing such an important role for this team moving forward.
And part of his presence added to the fact that LSU, for only the 3rd time all season so far, through now what will be 9 games, has out-rebounded an opponent. That's something that's got to change. A little touch foul on the perimeter that time against McBride, and it'll be 2 free throws coming now to Keith Hornsby.
Well, Hornsby has not had his best shooting night of the season. And obviously coming off that 32-point performance, we only have 2 games as a sample, but 4 of 13 overall from the field. And by the way, there's your double-double for Ben Simmons.
Off of his free throw. 2 headlines. This game would have absolutely been a blowout, but LSU was horrible at the free throw line, and quite frankly, Gardner-Webb wasn't much better. They're only at 50%. Strong move down inside. Simmons battling for the rebound, and he's got it. Quarterman running on the left side. Little drop pass to Hornsby. And 45 seconds remaining. LSU on top, 76-57. They led it 42-23 at the half. Gardner-Webb stayed in their game plan. They stayed organized. They got within 13. But then a nice little mini run here over the last 4 minutes, and LSU has put this game away. Simmons fall-away jump shot, needs a bounce. Rebound taken by Epps, his 11th. And it'll be 2 free throws coming. Once again, a new career high in rebounding. Aaron Epps, number 21, 6'9", 220 pounds, out of Ball, Louisiana. Played in 14 games last year.
Well, and Epps now has the opportunity to maybe go to the free throw line and get himself a double-double. He's got 8 points, 4 of 4 shooting. You mentioned the rebounds at 10, and I think it's a big thing. Ben Simmons leads the nation in percentage of total team rebounds on the year. he needs his teammates to help him out. That's a good stat because you're sitting there saying, okay, well, Ben Simmons gets more rebounds individually than anybody else as far as their team percentage goes in the country. But you can't just rely on one person to consistently get your rebounds.
I think the number is 37.
Yes.
And it's a spectacular number for Ben Simmons and his instincts for the game and his determination to go after and get the ball. But it's also almost equally an indictment of his teammates not doing enough that he's up there at 37% of the rebounds.
We'd like to point out a couple of made free throws, something we haven't seen. And you see the numbers as far as the percentage goes. Iggy from Evansville, he's very strong. And keep an eye on them in the Missouri Valley Conference. And DJ Ballantyne can really score the ball as well. That's a good group there.
Time winding down, and LSU will get their 5th win on the season against 4 losses.